and we have a cybersecurity concentration. I've been with Rome State for a long time. I feel this is our best time. Me as a faculty in our IT program, we have an AAS degree in IT, and really we have a cybersecurity concentration. We started the concentration in the fall of 2017. We have so far, I believe, around 12 students enrolled in the concentration, because if you come to us, you have to declare not just you're going to be in the IT degree, but also declare your concentration. Let me do some housekeeping items. If you get outside of this door, all the way to the end on your left, bathrooms, please turn off your cell phone, if you don't mind. And again, AAS degree in IT is really alive and well. As I speak right now, we have students 4.0 average interning at the lab, and they're doing simulation on hacking a car. They're doing a bus-off attack on a real car and really trying to, test bandits and stuff like that. We're excited. I'm excited, and I get to visit next week, on Monday, see the experiment and everything. This is very exciting to us. Patty Pace from the lab is teaching our first cybersecurity course, Foundation of Information Assurance. We started doing a lot of certification in cybersecurity, including Security Plus. We're starting this semester. Rome State Community College is the place to train folks, whether on the credit side or non-credit side, for cybersecurity. Okay, so welcome. So I want to introduce my guest, and just anecdote. I met Rob. I attended the EDGE conference. I don't know how many of you know about the EDGE conference. They started last year. I attended this year. And so the last day of the conference, taking the elevator, Rob and I taking the elevator, I didn't know anything about him. I started complaining about the food. And Rob said, George, I'm with Sword and Shield, and I'll let people know. And I said, by any chance, do you know anybody here from Sword and Shield that can sit on our advisory board? And the answer, yes, I could do that. I said, wow, that's a miracle. And I'd like for somebody to come do a presentation to our students. He said, a couple of months ago, I went to Chat State, and I did the presentation to the IT students on cyber career, or career paths in cybersecurity. So we are, even though 4 months after that, but we're very excited to have Rob Ashcraft for us. So let me introduce our guest speaker. Rob Ashcraft is a 30-year veteran of IT, cybersecurity, and risk management. Rob has served in varying roles over his career, ranging from system admin, pre-sales engineer, business development, and executive management, computer science, mathematics double major. Any math students in the audience? Okay. At Illinois Wesleyan University, Rob has continued the path from his education throughout his career. Last 14 years, he has focused on information security and risk management, demonstrating a great passion for this field. Rob also serves on the advisory board for technical programs at several local colleges, including Rome State, and through possessing years of experience, he continues to seek training and education to enhance his knowledge and ability to serve his clientele. In his spare time, Rob is a professional musician, singer, songwriter who also owns and operates a recording studio in East Tennessee. Help me welcome Rob Ashcraft.
Hey, wow. So, anyways, as he mentioned, I did this presentation recently at Chattanooga State, actually do this each year, twice a year there, just talking about careers in cybersecurity. How many of you are actually students here? Great, okay. So especially I want to congratulate you for being here today, because it shows that you possess more than going above and beyond the call to do what you can to not only enhance your education, but your chances and your awareness of what's going on in the job market. Because I assume when you do all this hard work, you might get a job in cybersecurity somewhere. Good thing, right? Let's see how we do this. Okay. Well, we talked about all this stuff. So I'm Rob, and I've been doing cybersecurity for quite a while, 14 years. Been in IT for about 30, and back in 2003, when not a lot of people were talking about cybersecurity, a good friend of mine who I knew from IT had migrated to a company, and I followed him over there, and was glad that I did, because now 14 years later, I'm still doing this type of work and still have a great passion for it. It's super interesting, super challenging. It keeps me on my toes because of the ever-changing landscape we have with threats and need in the cybersecurity market. So we have a lot of customers and company I work for that depend on us greatly as their security partner to help them and assist them with keeping things locked down tight. And I think all of you are here, right, because you're very much aware of the criticality and need for cybersecurity in our working organizations and our working environments. So thank you all for being here. And enough of that. So yeah, and in my spare time, I am a musician as well, and actually this band here I play in, all of these guys are into cybersecurity one way or another. The other guitarist is a vice president of services for a cybersecurity firm. We recently brought on a keyboardist who's the director of cybersecurity for information security for Blue Cross Blue Shield. This guy over here, the big tall guy, is a student at a TCAT under the cybersecurity program. And this one back here is a graduate from Pellissippi State, is a business major who's now looking into moving into marketing or sales in the cybersecurity market. I guess he was a little influenced. Anyway, so we're a band of geeks that like to play music. So why information security? I'm going to read just a couple quotes. You can see these. I pulled this out of a CIO magazine, and I just found it super relative to this conversation. Experts in cybersecurity are among the most sought after professionals in the tech sector. The most sought. Okay? So the demand for workers in that field are outpacing other IT jobs by a wide margin. Another report that I found says the demand for information security professionals has grown 350% faster than any other position in IT. So I'll direct this to you students here. I think you made a good choice in your career selection. So I hope that you'll pursue that. There's a huge need for it. We've been talking about that. And there's good money in it. There's good money in it. So and there's nothing wrong with being rewarded well for your efforts. So I'm having a little fun here, but we turned this, and this is metaphorically speaking, but from what we find in old gaping holes in organizations, often we turn it into something like this, where it's rationed down, locked down, sleek, and exercising best practices. So often we think about information security or cybersecurity. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is probably what? Hacking, ethical hacking, right? Mm-hmm. Pen testing, that's a more broader term for that, penetration testing. But there's lots of positions in the cybersecurity arena. And so that's really what the crux of what I want to talk about today. Not only is there a huge need for it, not only is there good money in it. How many people want to make good money? That's not a bad thing, right? And also, there's lots of areas you can go in. So I want to kind of talk about 5 main areas here and just bring some awareness as you're working hard in your schooling and you're thinking about what's next. Here's some things to think about. So first of all, security administration and engineering. So these are the guys, we call our enterprise solutions guys, but these are the guys who are more hands-on. They're out in the field. They do a lot of different things. For example, deploying security hardware or software and maintaining and managing that. They do things like security audits. So they have great expertise as far as the entire infrastructure and network goes. These are guys that generally, of course, probably most of these you can see need a computer science degree and some security education. We'll talk more about the additional security education as we get to it. But network administration. Are any of you studying that as well? You're probably in some of your classes in network administration. Good, great. I mean, awesome skills to have. You have to have them. These are the basic things and basic tenets that you're going to want as you build your career. So some of the positions in security administration, security engineering, security consulting would be things like security specialist, and I know it sounds like a vague term, but information security analysts, data security analysts, cloud engineers and architects. Cloud engineering and cloud usage is huge right now, and so many people are migrating. We help companies weekly migrate their things from their own servers or some kind of rack system that they have to cloud, and that's it's efficient for them. And but there's some rules of engagement or best practices around protecting that data and locking it down. So another area would be audit and risk management, and this is a different kind of mind frame. The first one I explained is, somebody likes to get in there and plug stuff in and physically get into the job, work on stuff. This person's more of your heads down, wants to go out and look at, investigate things. And so these are people that do a lot of the compliance. And how do you know what compliance is, right? Okay. So there are laws governing best practices. If you're healthcare, you're under the Health Information Protection Act. If you're taking credit cards, there's the PCI, which is the payment card industry, DSS compliance that you're adhering to. And so there's this school operates under FERPA. If you're at Y12, you're looking at NERC SIP, I would imagine. So there's all kinds of regulations that are specific or germane to that particular market or industry or what it is the company's doing. And all of these need to be audited, need to be checked, need to be double checked, and make sure that they're adhering to those standards at least, at the very least. There's frameworks such as NIST. Hopefully that's one you're hearing about in your cybersecurity classes.
Yes.
Yes, National Institute of Standards.
Yes.
Yeah, so NIST, the CSC 20 is the 20 critical controls is one that I would, if you're not into that yet, find a thing called NIST CSC critical controls, top 20. And most of your frameworks are built around that. And there's a lot of great information in that top 20. So COVID, ISO, and things like that, high trust. And so they take an audit list that's custom for that particular environment, whether it be healthcare, whether it be retail or manufacturing, and we work within those, I don't want to say that band or that influence of what their compliance are. And these audit risk guys go in and check all these things, right? From bumper to bumper to make sure that they're doing that. And then make recommendations when they find things that are in gap, things that are not compliant or not to the best practices. Go through and make recommendations what they can do to shore those things up. So that would be your audit and risk management type of, and there's a lot of career paths within it. An auditor, a privacy officer for a company, a compliance officer for a company. Many healthcare organizations, especially hospitals, have a compliance officer. It's a great position. PCI assessors, we have, I think, 5 or 6 of those on staff now, QSAs, so it's a very high ranking certification that they have. So another area, of course, everybody likes to talk about this area because this is the stealthy, 007 kind of work here. It is the forensics and ethical hacking. And we have, at the company I work for, a wonderful team that are back in the double secure area back there. We joke about it. We just say we kind of cracked the door and threw our red meat in here and run away real quick. Now these guys are they're super code guys that like to get down. They love heads down work. It's dark back there. They got their computer screens. They got Star Wars figures up all around there. That's their environment they like, and it is. And I studied coding in college, but I don't understand everything you do. Not even close. They do some really interesting things from actually hacking organizations. Let me just say this real quick. I'm going to take a pause. If you're studying ethical hacking here, if you're learning how to hack, don't just hack on whatever. can get yourself in trouble. That's not a good idea. Make sure whatever you're hacking, you have permission to do that. There's some rules set up around it. I've seen so many times your college students, they're learning all these skills and they start going out and just hacking on whatever to get themselves in heap of trouble. So don't. Anything that we hack, we have permission and contracts to do so, and rules of engagement set up. We're super careful when we're hacking a company, and we're doing this to show them how they can be hacked, to not bring their systems down. Obviously, we don't want to interrupt operations. So this position is, there's several different things you can do. We've got guys that are security analysts, some of them are code analysts, so they're going in and literally looking at websites, they're looking at they're pen testing outside IPs, external facing IPs, seeing if they can break them. If they break them, what can they do? What information can they get? We also take the role of an inside employee. 65%, I think it was, or 63%, was on the Verizon report last year. 63% of breaches were from insiders, or from the inside. So we test it from the inside, we test it from the outside, we test the web applications and every form on there to see if we can break them. And if we can break them, what can we get? So we test things as an authorized user at different levels. We test things as an unauthorized user. So really very cool stuff that they do. I watch these guys back there. They actually work as a team often. Somebody will be the lead on a particular project, but he'll bring it out and he'll get 3 or 4 of the other analysts with him, the ethical hackers, and they're all taking shots at it and throwing out ideas. And it's a pretty exciting field. There's a forensics aspect to it. We have a forensics lab at the company I work for, where we have a couple guys in there, and they do things as interesting as court cases, law enforcement, to look into cell phones and look into laptops or servers, or hack accounts online to find out what was happening, and then we actually work as federal witnesses or expert witnesses in court cases. Often we do things on a corporate level where a disgruntled employee got mad and either tried to sabotage something, or they stole a bunch of customer names and things like that, or in some cases we found people stealing credit card information out of a database or things like that, and that's always a sad thing to find, especially when the FBI or someone's brought in or walk away from their desk in cuffs. That's not a good thing. But it's unfortunate in this day that we live in that we have to have things like that, and we do a great service for our customers and helping them protect that. So forensics is going back, obviously, as you would imagine, like in forensics physically. We're doing digital forensics and finding out what happened, how it happened, and then figuring out how to show them how they can fix that. Penetration tests we're talking, incident response. Sometimes companies, they'll put their security in place, but they get hacked just the same. Something bad happens. We send a team out to lock it down, figure out what happened, fix it, and then help them get a plan to
recover.
Yeah, to recover. And that's a great point, because often with ransomware and things like that, it can devastate a company. It can literally put them out of business. So that's another area. Might be one that you're thinking, hey, that'd be really cool to do. If you're good at just really heads down coding, and you can just bang on it for hours, and the hours seem like minutes, that's your job right there. Of course, as all careers go, there's management positions and things like that. So things like team leads and supervisors, as you start building your skills, start showing others and leading others in that. Project leads, project managers, security officers. I mentioned that earlier, but that's a great position. A lot of companies are hiring chief information security officers, compliance officers, directors of security. One of my best friends, as I mentioned, is director of security at BCBS. Another one is vice president of services at the company I work for. So these are great positions, and as you build your career, these are places you can go with your careers in security management, if you so choose. you know, I'm in a place in my life, I was in management in several companies, a director in C-level positions. I'm getting later in life. I don't want that kind of responsibility to just kind of fly around in my own orbit, so I do what I do and enjoy it very much. But certainly this is a great career path. So pre-sales engineering and account management. A lot of people don't think about that when it comes to IT or security. When I first came out of college with a computer science degree, my thing was, hey, let's get out there and start working on computers. And after a few years of this heads down, you know, of course, back in my day, it was a lot different. There wasn't such a thing as cybersecurity. And the first, I hate to admit this, but the first desktop machines were just coming out. We were using IBM 286 K machines, and that was like, wow, man, this is really smoking. Yeah, so it was unbelievable. You had a big 5 1/4 floppy disk and all that stuff. So things have changed a little bit since then. I remember putting in some of the first networks. We actually had this big coaxial cable and doing FIDI networks and such. Anyway, so in that, somewhere in there, I was like, you know, I'm not really a heads down guy. I'm a little too ADD for that. And a lot of my friends are driving these brand new cars and wearing suits and seem to be having a pretty good time out there handshaking people and just, you know, enjoying their out in the public. And I said, I want to do what they do. And so I got a company to take a chance on me in sales, and it worked out really well for me. So, gosh, 20-some years of my career has been on this more sales and pre-sales engineering side of things. It's good to have a technical background. You almost really have to, unless you're just a huge, quick study. So the technical background you have is not wasted whatsoever. If you decide this is a role you want to get in, there's great money in it. It's very fun. You feel like you're really helping people out because you're listening and understanding what their issues are, and then mapping solutions either that you have or you're referring to other people that you don't can help them, and helping them fix the things that need to be fixed and achieve what goals they have. So this is a great position. You know, obviously there's some travel involved. It's a lot of fun, especially if you're not a heads down guy and you like to be around and you're a little more social. So that's kind of the 5 main areas. Now I want to kind of change this conversation a little bit and really direct it a little bit more toward y'all that are in classes right now, because this is really important. I'm showing you some areas in different paths within the cybersecurity realm. However, getting the job is another story. There's lots of jobs out there, but there's also a lot of competition. People coming out of school. So I'm going to give you some points here, and this is not just from my own personal experience, but also in making this presentation, I queried several hiring managers and executives and talked with them. What are they looking for? You know, what in this current market? So one of the big things is education and certifications. So if you want to be successful, tune in on this part real quick. I want you to get this. If you don't get anything else, get this. If you want to be successful in this market, your education does not stop here. Okay? It really is a lifetime of education. And what I mean by that is whether you go on to a 4-year program or go on for a master's or even a doctorate, that formal education is super important, and it is the foundation on which you will build your career. However, there's also a thing called certifications, and they are just as important as you go out and feel. In fact, I think, don't they get some certifications as they're...
We do. So we have Security Plus.
Good.
And we're starting 2018, County brought the Pen Test Plus. So we're onto that, and we're hoping either get grant money to provide them so they don't have to pay for the certification. There is a talk at the Board of Regents level. The Tennessee Board of Regents is really active in supporting and really buying by the bulk for all Tennessean in community colleges to allow them not to pay any penny for their certification.
That is awesome.
Lots of things going on. We're excited about that.
So you're doing a great service then for
Thank
your
you.
students, because these certifications are looked for. That's especially things like Network Plus, your A Plus, because you do have to have, even though you have the security background, you have to have those basics, tenets of infrastructure and networking, right? Also, the Security Plus and then pen testing, this new CompTIA one would be
Yes.
wonderful. So just consider this every year or every other year, and most guys every year they're testing for something. You're going after certifications, and they mean a lot. And when they look at your resume and they see already that you've got a Network Plus, Security Plus, maybe this Pen Testing Plus, that's going to go a long way in helping you beat out competition and get your first gig and get a good one. So, super important. Set your mind to it now that you're always going to be studying. And whether that's getting certifications or, like in my case, I don't necessarily get certifications, it's something we do on our end, but it's more just studying, reading blogs, there's a constant flow of information because, as we all know, the threat landscape is continuing to evolve daily. Things change hourly, daily, weekly. So it's our responsibility as security professionals to stay on top of those things and be in the know. And so when a customer says, hey, I heard something about this, ransomware, or this new strain of virus, what do you know about it? Well, then you've got some knowledge and you can advise correctly. And so, again, to move quickly in your career path, to evolve in your career path and do well, you always want to be educating yourself, whether it's more formal education, formal certifications, or just reading blogs and getting in different groups. There's Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn groups, all kinds of things out there, ISA, ISACA, different associations like that. I'm a part of several, and they're constantly sending information. So I would encourage you to do that. Second thing they're really looking for is beyond education, of course, is technical experience. Now, being kind of new out of the chute, some of you, it's going to be hard to get that, but get any you can. Do internships. If you got to do some freebies, do some freebies. Get some things on your resume. Get some mileage under your belt there, so you can put it on your resume. They're looking for those things. It's worth your time and investment. Go help your church. Go help, do some community service and take the knowledge that you have and apply it. Or if you can get a part-time job here or there, some kind of internship, do that, right? So they're looking for technical experience, and the more that you have sets you apart, right, to get the gig. So, and then real knowledge and aptitude. And of course, the fact that you're sitting here today, it tells me you all have an aptitude and some passion behind you to go out and do this. That you're smart enough to show up and get additional information that you didn't have to get, but you did it anyway. So good for you. But they are looking for that. So when you show up for your interviews, be sharp. Take your ginkgo biloba or whatever you take. Your brain working good. At my age, you gotta take the supplements to keep things running well. And then outside resources and personal initiatives. I heard somebody say this, I think late last year, and it really resonated with me that everyone should have, at any given time, a mentor or two in their life. And I took that to heart because, again, not that I'm, got one foot in the grave or anything, but I'm getting older, kind of more on the backside of my career. And you tend to sometimes maybe just think, I'll just kind of roll. And the fact is, you always want to be getting better. You always want to have a mentor. You always want to have relationships in your life with people that are enhancing, inspiring. Does that make sense? And so you have to seek those kind of relationships out. Look for those type of things. Look for mentors, whether it be on your job or within the school, or if there's a mentoring program or such. If you got family friends or somebody that you trust and that you feel they're sharp in the industry, find those people and buy them coffee, buy them lunch, and go sit down with them and talk to them about what your aspirations are, and then be really quiet and listen to what they have to say, and get their input. I really encourage you to do that. I'm doing that even on some other things right now. I'm hiring, I'm spending my own money to hire some guys to mentor me in recording engineering, just because I want to be better at it. That's hopefully maybe I'll be doing after retirement. So anyway, communication skills. A lot of times we don't think about that when it comes to IT. Hey man, we're communicating with the zeros and ones, right? We're writing code, but communication skills are imperative. When you write a report to report to a customer and it's grammatically horrible, it takes away from your credibility, regardless how smart it may be and how insightful your findings are. If you can't spell, it's not going to be taken as seriously. Can you imagine? So, sadly, in our country today, so many people have gotten away from basic good communication skills, English skills, looking a guy straight in the eye, looking a person straight in the eye, and talking with them, right? And posture, things like that, all very important. You wouldn't think so, but it really is. I mean, if you want to set yourself apart in your career, these are important things, and every little thing counts. Can you see that? So, written skills, I'm talking about that with communication skills, right? Perceived work ethic. And again, this is really important that when you're interviewing on a job, you really need to emphasize the fact that you're a butt kicker, that you're a guy that when they hire you, they're getting a guy that's going to crank it out for them. Because another unfortunate, sad thing we see in the country is a lot of laziness these days. And people doing the least they can. And so when a potential employer finds someone who's actually going to crank out some work, I mean, that makes you a very high commodity. They want you because there's not a lot of that out there these days. And so they're looking for people that are driven, that are working hard, that can get things done. And you want to present yourself that way. It doesn't even hurt to say, I'm a hard worker. In fact, when I interview, I say, I might not be the brightest bulb in the box, but by golly, I work hard. And so, whatever things I lack, I compensate for in my work. So I would highly encourage you to do that. Perceived professionalism. Please don't show up on a job interview with a t-shirt and jeans, or, even if they're dressed that way, always dress for success. I can't emphasize the importance of that. When I was coming out of college, I didn't have much money. I grew up on a farm. We didn't have a lot of money. Thank God I got scholarships and got through school. But I went to the Goodwill and bought a couple suits. And, those were my first, I was proud to have them, let me tell you, $5 a piece. And that's what I wore, but you want to go in looking professional. It is important when you go to your job, you want to look professional. Now, in some parts of the career where you're sitting behind closed doors and that, you may not be required. T-shirts and jeans may be fine. Cross that bridge when you get to it. Always assume up front that you want to dress for success, dress for the position or the perception that you want people to have. All right? Perceived dependability, again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I think it's, it stands for itself. It's self-evident that there's a crisis today in dependability. And so, and then finally, I do want to accent on this one. It's passion. Okay? I just assume everybody in the room, the fact that you take time out of your schedule to hear some guy yak about cybersecurity is you have a passion for it. And hiring companies are looking for people that are passionate about what they do. It's not just a job. It's not even just a career. It's something that you geek out on. You're into it. And they want to see that in your face. They want to hear it that you are into this, is what you're about. And those are the kind of people that hiring professionals look for. They want to know that you are passionate about what you do. And, by the way, be passionate about what you do. I guess you got to fake it till you make it, but it's a great career and it's a lot of fun. Hey, are some days more fun than others? Sure. There's days you just kind of want to beat your head on the wall. That's anything, right? It's a fun career. So, getting the gig. Don't be that guy. Let me talk about these a little bit. Again, I'm trying to give you some direction. So as you're thinking about what's next, first of all, super important, have a first-rate resume. I would imagine student services here, professional services, helps people write resumes, yes?
We do.
Take advantage of it. Be humble and realize you don't know everything, right? Get some input, get some help. And if you have a mentor, have him look at it. And put everything on that resume that's relative to getting that job. Because the more information on there, especially when you're first coming out and your resume may be a little light, if it looks great and it looks like you put some thought into it, it looks professional, it says a lot about you. It represents you, right? They don't even see you. The first thing you're going to see is your resume. Now imagine they've got 20 of those on their desk, and they've got to make a decision. You know, you want yours to stand out. Online job boards, you guys know what those are, right? Monster Board, Monster.com, is well known. There's online, there's OCC, there's Tech Jobs, and what's that?
Indeed.
What's it called?
Indeed.
Indeed, okay. I don't really know. I haven't searched for a job for a while, but online job boards, get that fantastic looking resume and then translate. And a lot of times you have to put in forms and stuff, and then it pops up and it doesn't look quite right. Hey man, don't be lazy. Take the time to tweak the thing and make it look outstanding, okay? As best as you can make it, it's worth your time to do. So, and these are great things to utilize. I know earlier in my career, I picked up some really good jobs. People recruited me off job boards. Networking. Anybody know what that means? What do you think that means?
Just connections.
Man, that's right. Very good. So connecting with people, going to job fairs, coming to something like this, talking to your faculty, talking to your student services about who should I be talking to people that are your instructors, and who are they working for, who do they know, getting on LinkedIn, and starting to get a profile built. Super important. These people right here could probably help you a great deal into networking and talking to the right people. So be that person, be out there and do it. And that dovetails into this next one is researching cold call. Now you wouldn't think about cold calling, well, that's a sales gig. The job I have right now is because I cold called. And I was working for a competitor. I kept hearing about this company called Sword and Shield. And they were winning a lot of the gigs. I was going head to head, and I heard so many good things about them, and had wanted to settle in Tennessee. I cold called them and said, "Hey, I'm tired of competing with you guys. Why don't you hire me?" And we struck up a conversation over a few months, and they did end up creating a position for me. And so, if there's a place you want to work, pick up the phone and cold call them and find out what's going on. Talk to the HR. Ask for a technical director. Ask for this director of security. Why not? All they can say is, "I don't want to talk to you." I mean, so what? You just wasted 2 minutes. You spend 2 minutes on something that could turn out great. Often they will talk to you. Just explain what you're doing. And hey, I'm coming out of school. I'm a hardworking guy. I've got these certs. I'm super passionate about cybersecurity. Would you consider an internship, or do you have a position maybe I can get into, a starting position? Talk to them. I mean, this is the things that set you apart, okay, from everybody else out there. Don't be passive about it. Be aggressive about it. This is your career, okay? Follow-up. Super important. Maybe not want to follow up every hour. AG my resume. But that might be a little too much. But send a resume. Call back in a couple of days. Get your interview. Talk to them about what can I do to get an interview. At least just talk to them. Say, hey, at least interview, right? Just let me come in. I think you'll like what you hear. And ask them for the interview. Get in there after the interview. Immediately send an email or a letter following up, telling them how great it was to meet them and how interesting their company is, and all that good stuff. Do those things. Again, it takes some effort on your part, but I assume you're even here today because you put in the extra effort, because you want to go out and get a good gig. Be creative and stand out. Lots of ways to do that. If you've got some things in a portfolio, maybe you want to put them on USB that would seem appropriate to share. If you've got some hacking examples or something like that, or just think out of the box and come up with creative ideas, again, to make yourself stand out. Send your resume and attach a USB. They may sandbox that at first because they don't trust you. We don't trust anybody. But anyway, do things like that to, all kidding aside, to to make yourself stand out. One other thing that you probably wouldn't think of, but I'm gonna do this. One of my gigs in my career was I was the director of recruiting and sales for a IT staffing company. So we placed professionals out into the field on staffing gigs. You know, maybe 4 months here, 2 months there, and a year over here. And so I was placing people that were much my senior. I was probably in my early 30s back then, and these guys have been in their career for 20 years. Terrible at interviewing, just the worst. And because I just never thought about it. And so I needed to get my guy hired on this gig in the staffing position, and so we would practice interview with every one of them. We would rewrite the resumes for every one of them, because generally they had terrible resumes too. They had a lot of great content, just absolutely a mess though. So all that said, again, it comes back to the presentation. I would encourage you to practice interview. Practice with your mom, practice with your dad, practice with your friend. There are many websites that have practice interview questions. Have somebody read the questions to you and figure out how you're going to answer. Have those answers ready to go, so you're not standing there scratching your head or rolling your eyes, wondering. You know, be ready. I mean, be competent when you come into your interview. I really encourage that, because it will make you stand out. Okay, so great tips on getting the gig. I want to leave you with a couple ideas, and then I'm going to open it up for some questions. These are just some certifications. I was talking about certifications. These are certifications that we've had at least one or multiple people hold at our company. So I'm sure George will make this slide deck available. Mm-hmm. Yes, if you're having trouble seeing that. I don't like it. I put that on the background.
I'm planning on uploading your presentation to our website, because we have an official website, by the way, of any cybersecurity resources. Just download. It's going to be there like this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, no proprietary information here, so yeah, please do. So lots and lots of certifications. The more you can get, the more you're stacking chips on your favor. And sometimes it's that one thing, you know, that sets you apart from everybody else in a competitive environment.
Give me 5 that you think. I mean, you got a list, and I don't think you don't have.
Yeah.
How many of them do you have?
It depends what concentration.
Right. I mean, so give me 5 that you think are.
Well, the GPEN, GIAC penetration tester is very important. This is the OWASP one up there. I'm sure it is. Well, offensive security professional. I see that one a lot. I got the GPEN on there twice, don't I?
So which one? If I'm a student, Toronto State student, I'm applying to Sword and Shield.
Yep.
Which one is going to be your, breaker? I mean, which one
depending on what area that you want to get into. So these GIAC ones are the GPEN, the GWAP for web application pen testing, super important. Let me see here. I'm looking at the PMP. Actually, is a very important one. Project management professional. CISSP. Now it's a more advanced, more general.
Uh-huh.
If you end up wanting to get into like an information security officer, CISO, or just a top security guy, you definitely want to go up your CISSP. Now, to get that, you're going to have to be sponsored by someone that has it. It's about a year's worth of study, and it's a 6-hour test.
Yeah.
And it's a bear. I'm actually studying online. I don't know if I'm going to take it or not because it's not required. I'm just studying. I've got the books, and I study just because I want the knowledge. Anyway, so
question for you.
Yeah.
Actually, more of a comment. So my first gig, was teaching Photoshop and video.
Yeah.
And media design. Your background is a medium to a dark color, so you always need to use white text.
There you go.
Okay.
See? I don't have that gray on there. I was like, yeah, that's not working really well.
That's good.
But thank you for that. Yes, that's yeah. I think maybe change it to white, like all.
Yes.
A little more
Because
consistent.
all of a sudden you're hitting with the gray and everything else. So.
I just wanted to throw you off now.
You're keeping it in the dark. You don't want anybody to know about it, right?
Make your head swim a little bit. I know this one. This certified wireless security professional is really good. The certified ethical hacker and certified security analyst, at least 2 at the end. I see these a lot with the guys we have. They seem to be one that's kind of a standard in our industry, so we'll look at those. Then if you get into things like PCI work, the QSA is like a CISSP. It's pretty hard. In fact, you have to have your CISSP to go for your QSA, but that's a pretty tough one to get. But it's if you have that, there are it's an elite kind of certification. So that would be something to look at as you're building, you're building up your portfolio there. But all these are important. I mean, we have them because they're important. But anyway, some of those, like I said, the GPAN, the ethical hacker, certified security analyst. If you want to get into web app type testing, GWAP, see that one a lot. So those would be some places I would start. Of course, then your basic ones, Network Plus, Security Plus, and I guess you're creating a pen testing plus. So those are your entry certifications. Definitely get them. Definitely get them. And by the way, if you take a cert and for some reason you fail, take it again. Get it again. And if you fail, take it again. Okay? Just be pig-headed stubborn about what you're going to do and get it done. I've had some certs that on my end of things have been difficult, and I have failed a few, and I went back and took them again, and I passed them the second time. Especially I was doing a lot of IBM work. Some of those it was an IBM way to answer things, and even if it didn't make sense, it was their answer, and that's how you had to do it. So I figured it out. But you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Be the hardest working. So I'm kind of leave you with that, and that goes all across every area. So, a couple golden rules. Hey, I just said it, right? Work harder than everyone. If you work harder than everyone, you'll go a long way in your career path. Show up early, stay late when needed. Be that guy. Don't be the guy that rolls in, 10 minutes after the clock when you were supposed to be there, and the guy's leaving 15 minutes early. Don't be that guy. Often I start my workday at 6:30 in the morning because I work at home. I'm in my pajamas. But seriously, I mean, I'm up, do my workout stuff, and at 6:30 a.m. I'm busting it, getting stuff done. And there's oftentimes I work on weekends, off hours. So you just have to, you have to do what you got to do to get the job done. Enjoy a challenge and be flexible. So again, it's kind of being that guy that doesn't shrink away from the hard work. And that's the ones that get far in their career. The ones that just take the passive, least hard path, kind of just doing the least they can to get by, then, that's kind of what your career is going to be like. Look for ways to improve. I'm the king of failure, and so I've learned a lot, right? I've had lots of opportunities to learn in my career, but, just because you fail, that's not your destination. That's just a learning point, Figure it out, learn from it, try not to be discouraged, and bust on from there. Again, I always use the term pig-headed stubbornness because I like it. That's sort of how I've been with my career. If something bad happens, I just get pig-headed and stubborn about it, then I'm going to make something good happen. Be teachable. The fact that you're here today again, I mentioned this several times, tells me that you are teachable, and that's good. Don't be a know-it-all. Learn from people. Listen. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, because we should be listening and talking in that ratio, right? Have a spirit of excellence about you across the board. I mean, whether it's the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you do your work, your optimism, your positive attitude, all of that carries very well in the job market. There are some days that I don't feel very positive, personal things that go on or whatever, good and bad. Don't let it affect your job, just be the person that people like to be around, because it's all about teamwork out there. Align yourself with what I call alphas. Find good mentors. I have several in my life. I defer to their judgment. When I'm thinking about doing something I'm not sure about, I talk to them about it. And I'm 52 years old, so find good people to align yourself with. then you'll find that their success and their professionalism, their way of life rubs off on them. Be grateful. Be grateful for your job. Don't be a complainer. Hey, listen, every gig out there, as much as I love my job now, there's always something to complain about. There's always something that's not going to go your way because it's not your company. So, and even if it is, you probably don't get everything you want. So, don't be that person that's just griping and complaining all the time. That's just no way to go somewhere in a career. It really is. Be a good negotiator, and what I mean by that is often in the workplace, not just with customers, you have to be able to negotiate with people. You've got to be able to give and take, and you just can't have it your way all the time. You're just not going to get far in a career that way, and you're going to be frustrated a lot anyway. So don't do that to yourself, and don't do it to other people around you. Learn how to negotiate, learn how to give and take, learn how to work well with people. And I'll end on this. I said it at the very first beginning. I'm going to say it again. Never stop learning. Really. Continually educate yourself. Keep your mind active. But not only that, because it keeps your career elevated. And with that, questions? In the back.
Now, I'm way behind you guys in computers, I know I am. Is there one book that you could get a hold of that really brings you up to speed on?
On which subject?
Well, just,
On cybersecurity?
on just
in general? George, you may have some recommendations there. Where do you start? What's a good starting point?
For example, when we teach our cybersecurity courses, we have 3 of them. We use some professional technical books, and we get our students to take home for free, whatever. So, but these are expensive books. Usually cybersecurity textbooks are really expensive. I don't know, there's one ideal textbook, cover different things. But if you're interested, you can be your email. I'll send you a few links. And then we have them on our website. We have lots of links on our website, resources for cybersecurity, etc.
Now, I don't mean this in any kind of disagreeable or down-putting way, but I'll tell you, myself, I buy a lot of the dummy books,
Cybersecurity for dummies.
They're organized well. Generally, it's kind of almost like cliff notes, and they've got the information highlighted, the real critical stuff. So I read a lot of those. There's many on computer networking, which is a good place to start, of course, and then cybersecurity and fundamentals and things like that. That's, I like those.
May I add something? For cybersecurity, the KnowBe4 security site is best for pros or amateur.
What's that called?
KnowBe4.
Okay.
So it's the basic training for all employees for securing your network.
KnowBe4, KNOWBE.
Yeah,
could you spell that?
I
yeah,
just did.
I can show it to you. It's just
KNOW.
and then BVE, and then number 4.
And by the way, we have a kind of a lounge, online lounge. All of our students have access to the lounge. In the lounge, we have all kinds of resources. And some of them, and you remember you have access to that, and you recommended some links for me, and I've added those links to our lounge. We have it online all the time, etc. So
there's some great TED Talks, the ones I've been pulling out for you
yes.
and send them to you, so you might check those out as well. Questions? Yes, sir.
Do you happen to, or how often do you run into Linux-based systems?
All the time. Unix or Linux?
Either.
Unix not as much, right? That technology is not as prominent, predominant as it used to be. However, you still certainly find it. There's lots of legacy systems and some still newer systems that use that. But Linux and all its variants all the time. So, yeah.
You see, Unix and government so widely.
So pretty widely different. Yeah. So Unix, Linux, and of course Microsoft OS. We do things on Apple OS as well. So all key. It depends what part of you're in the server, app end. You're going to see all Linux, Unix things on especially mid-frames or mainframes. And then when you're on the more user base or the workstation base, you're going to see a lot of Windows stuff going on or network the servers.
A question to you, Rob. What level do you hire at Sword and Shield?
Well, and so direct hires generally a little more on the advanced side. So people have experience. Now we do have a security operations center. So some we hire some that are junior analysts that have some experience in sharp people, good accreditations and certifications, and that's a good starting point. I've seen some in there go from junior, senior, and then over to pen tester or something because they continually learning. They advance their career within our company, and our company's big on that. I've seen people come in one thing, and there's a guy who was a penetration tester, a very good one, and was working on advancing his career. He has a military career and rank, and leveraged those things, and has got some certifications in the management side, and now he's a director of our managed security practice. So, you know, one thing I like about our company, but there's many others like this, is they do look to promote within us. People are working hard. Again, you know, everything I'm talking about in this presentation is, you know, continually evolving yourself in your education, in your background, in your experience, so your career can evolve accordingly. So, yes, sir.
Is there any kind of software you'd recommend learning for sort of things in general, like what kind of network management or security?
Software, yeah, I'm not sure. That would be more on an educational base. I don't know if that's some things you can advise toward that.
We have lots of tools that part of our lab. We use Network Miner. You could download Wireshark. Many tools to analyze networks. And if you missed my Rise and Shine presentation, I had an evidence of forensics evidence and how do you find out what's inside of your evidence and stuff like that. Go to our lounge, and I have lots of tools that you could download for anything. And if you just come see me, and I'll show you stuff that we have already in the lounge.
You might check out some associations too, like ISA, and then there are scads of freeware, shareware type of tools out there for different type of things. Again, just be careful what you're doing with them, especially with hacking tools. Make sure if you're hacking something, you have permission to be doing that. Don't get yourself in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, there's lots of shareware kind of hacking tools. Just get them from credible sites so you don't yourself end up hacked.
And a site I recommend, Shodan. When I did my presentation for Mechatronics, I talked about that. So it's a really great website to do hacking without, but you're still wearing your white hat, even though you could get in trouble. But Shodan is a great website.
Okay, very good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Other questions? Well, we're right at the time here, so somehow I've managed to actually hit it on the nose. And so I'm going to stick around for a while. If you guys want to chat offline, I'll be available to talk. But hey, I want to thank you all for having me out.